Reports out of Pittsburgh indicate that Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin, the dean of NFL head coaches, will return for a 19th season in 2025. Tomlin, one of 4 black head coaches in the NFL, has never had a losing season with the Steelers. The Steelers were eliminated by Baltimore Saturday in the first round of the AFC playoffs. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We gon' be alright.
KBLA Talk 1580 is amplifying black voices and spotlighting our untold stories. I'm Dominique DiPrima. Join me Thursday from 6 to 9 a.m. as we broadcast live from Perry's Joint on Lincoln Avenue in Altadena, covering the individuals and families impacted by the Altadena Eaton fire. Hear from community leaders and those who have suffered losses that must not be forgotten. Together, we can help them rebuild and recover. Together, we are LA Strong, LA United, with your friends at KBLA Talk 1580.
First things first.
Things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tag Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. Why does she sound so happy? Just grateful. Grateful to God. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First, and my first thing today and every day, giving thanks, giving praise, and asking for blessings from the Most High, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and opening the circle. And you are welcome in. So the way we do this show on a Talking Point Tuesday, which is what today is, hour one, we look local, what's going on around here, Pacific Ocean side of town, and we know it's a lot. Hour two, we go national, international, and beyond. In the third hour, we do a deep dive. Today, it's a 2-part deep dive. Attorney Ariva Martin will be sharing some of the tips that she has gathered about how to best deal with your insurance company if you are impacted by the California fires. So she's going to join me top of the third hour. And the bottom of the third hour, we will talk with the assessor, Jeffrey Prang. So lots of good information for folks who are impacted by these fires. You're always invited to call in 800-920-1580. You have fellowship. You can fight with me. You can share some information. All of that is fair. That's what we're here for. We're here to have invigorating dialogue, right? That stimulates our gray matter, to be a shoulder to cry on for each other, to be a source of information and evidence-based opinion. And so 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580, that is the number to call. And you're welcome. Also, please follow, like, do all the things on social media. We're at KBLA 1580 everywhere. And I am at DiPrima Radio, DIPRIMA, and then radio. And follow, like, subscribe, make a smart-ass comment. All that is helpful. It helps build us as a force to be reckoned with here at KBLA. By the way, we do stream every day on YouTube at KBLA 1580. So joining me, our one partner in politics, riding shotgun in the conversation. He's an educator, a climate justice activist, and a community organizer, lifelong resident of Harbor Gateway, graduated from UCLA in poli-sci, and he was, I believe, one of the first Gen Z members and youngest Black Angelinos to ever run for city council back in 2022. He almost made it. He's almost council member, but not quite. Bryant Odega, good morning.
Good morning, Dominique, and good morning to the KBLA 1580 family. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you on. Yeah, I mean, I almost don't know where to start because we are still in the middle of this wind, fire, sort of perfect storm of the climate emergency is how I see it. We've had, I think, a fifth of an inch of rain since October, and basically we have not had a rainy season this year, meaning that everything is dry and easily ignited. We have some kind of crazy Santa Ana winds. We always have those, but not up to 100 miles an hour. And and here we are in the middle of what I would consider to be a generational crisis.
Right, absolutely. And, Dominique, I'm glad that you framed it that way, especially like referencing climate, because what I've seen in some of the more mainstream media, like narrative, like as if it's like a natural disaster. And the reality is, right, there's nothing really normal about having these 100 winds. And actually, these past couple of years, we've seen the worst types of wildfires that has ever existed in LA. And according to news, we may be seeing more winds, and so this may not even be the end of the story, right? Even as we are in the midst of this current climate, fueled wildfire. And so really begs the question, how do we respond? How do we respond? And also, how do we confront this challenge? Because the climate scientists say that on this current path that we're on, we're going to likely see more of these types of disasters.
Right. What I'm tracking that gives me a lot of hope and encouragement is the response. The incredible outpouring by Angelinos. People are dropping off things at drop-off centers and making their spaces into distribution and drop-off centers and offering homes and sending money. And it's part of what I love about LA. I was talking to a friend last night. It's like, who's evacuated? It's like, well, LA, they'll clown you and make you feel like crap because you have the wrong haircut or the wrong car. But in case of emergency, they'll give you the shirt off their back.
Yeah, that's real. And, as a teacher, as of right now, according to the last report I saw from UTLA, we have at least 3,000 teachers that are impacted some way by the wildfires. And over the weekend, I was really, what also gave me hope. And I was just really grateful to see a lot of our educator community come together for a fundraiser that was organized by the Educator Defense Network. And we were able to raise, as of right now, like $12,000, which is a big deal given the fact that our state affiliate, I think, only provides up to like 1,000 or so. And so being able to, come together and combine resources to support one another is really what community looks like. And what I hope is that, this resurgence and growth of community translates into a change because the government also has a role to play in this.
Absolutely, they do. And we'll see how that goes with the swearing in of El Monstro on Monday. But it reminds me of the late and amazing Dr. Mabel John, my friend and mentor, who used to say we are the safety net. And it doesn't let government off the hook, but it does amplify community. I've just been so impressed with what people are doing. But Bryant, I want to make sure I make this point. If you're going to drop off donations, whether it be at the Flint Ridge Center or the Pasadena Church, the East Campus, or whether it be at Walkwood, LA, on Pico and Crenshaw, or wherever it might be that you're going to drop off donations, do not drop off used clothes. Nobody wants those anymore. I know, and I don't mean to sound snobby, but that just is what it is. People are emptying out their junk and taking it to these distribution centers, and that doesn't help. Gift cards are great. Water, cases of water, personal hygiene items, obviously new. Those kinds of things are super useful. That's what people need. What they don't need is your old, used stuff, clothes and things. They need things that are new. And Brandon made such a good point, Brandon Lamar, on this show on yesterday, that the gift cards are good because how is a bag of food going to help me if I don't have a kitchen? If my house is burned to the ground, if I'm not quite sure where I'll be staying.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I know from folks who I've heard who are impacted that, they only had pretty much, maybe their documents, for their housing or immigration and, their bodies, their lives, or whatever they had on. There's not enough time to pack your whole life during times of crisis. And so small things like those toiletries, I think, definitely useful. And, for those who don't know what to do or what to provide, the gift cards, cash, benefits, so that the people who are impacted can spend it to have a way to eat.
Now, we're going to be at Perry's Joint, right on the Altadena-Pasadena border on Thursday, broadcasting the entire show from there. And we'll be hearing from community leaders, people who have been impacted. And, of course, you're welcome to drop by. It's going to be open to the public. Anyone is welcome. But I want to point out, a lot of people have been calling about dropping off donations there. Perry's Joint is a Black-owned business. It's not a drop-off point, but we are going to have the ability to take some things. So again, if you could do gift cards, that would be ideal. But we are going to be able to take stuff, but just from 6 to 9. Once the show is over, we will direct you to one of the distribution centers near there, like the Flint Ridge Center, which is still taking items. So I love that people are so, generous and wanting to help. And I just want to make sure that we give the help that is actually helpful.
Yes. We don't want to make things more complicated for people who are trying to piece together this.
Yeah, so as of 2 a.m. today, we're under wind warnings again, extreme fire alerts, and that's for the next 2 days. But it looks like, from what I've been able to read and see on these apps, that the wind patterns may work in our favor in terms of not going right over the same paths. However, it's still a great time to stay indoors. It's still a great time to take extreme precautions, wear a mask when you go outside. In fact, Bryant, I know you're really good about stuff like this, and I want to talk to you about what I just said about what precautions we should be taking. But what air quality looks like, how we track it, and how it can impact us right now especially. We'll look at that when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
We gon' be alright.
KBLA Talk 1580 is amplifying Black voices and spotlighting our untold stories. I'm Dominique DiPrima. Join me Thursday from 6 to 9 a.m. as we broadcast live from Perry's Joint on Lincoln Avenue in Altadena, covering the individuals and families impacted by the Altadena Eaton fire. Hear from community leaders and those who have suffered losses that must not be forgotten. Together, we can help them rebuild and recover. Together, we are LA Strong, LA United, with your friends at KBLA Talk 1580.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has a program specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to resolve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way Black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like the style, though?
Somebody's been praying for me.
Thanks to the generous support of the KBLA Talk 1580 delegation, we were able to donate 545 pounds of coats and blankets to the LA Mission this winter season.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
The LA Mission expressed its deep gratitude for our gift all over social media, but we wish to thank them and all the other service providers who look out daily for the less fortunate in our community, finding our happy by being helpful.
Hallelujah.
We're KBLA Talk 1580. Where we do more than just talk.
Somebody's been praying for me.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
So apparently that extreme fire conditions warning was moved from 2 to 4 a.m. And we're already seeing some heavy gusts in the San Gabriel Mountains up to 72 miles an hour. This is the highest designation of extreme red flag warning and goes through Wednesday. Most of Altadena is still under evacuation order, but we are seeing some progress. And I think the firefighters made the most of what they could do while the winds were a little lighter. So the Eaton fire is 33% contained this morning. That's up from 27% a couple days ago. And the evacuation orders were lifted from Santa Monica. The Palisades fire now 14% contained, up from 11% earlier. So we are seeing progress. It's just when these extreme winds hit, it's dangerous for helicopters and planes, and they cannot. They don't have as many tools to use. I want to know why Mayor Karen Bass didn't stop this wind. What is wrong with her? It must be because she's a DEI hire, that she's allowed the wind to keep blowing.
Yeah, I think watching the a lot of the hiding criticism of Mayor Bass has been really interesting and frustrating in a variety of ways. Because on one level, like of course, Mayor Bass, she's a city leader, and so people point to their leaders for direction. But on another level, I do think it's very problematic that the disproportionate scrutiny is on Bass, but there's no, like, where are the calls for, answers from Tracy Park and Monica Rodriguez and, all the other city council members and the county and, Carvalho for LAUSD. I think it's easy. It's easy, and also, there's a history of throwing out, our Black women leaders to the wolves as a sacrifice during times of crisis, and that's not because it gives other people who have responsibility coverage from
it's
from being held
also
accountable.
so intellectually dishonest, and it shows me the level of dumbness of certain people, named Kardashian, and also the level of irresponsibility of certain people named Musk and Shang, because they know better. They know that the mayor taking a trip to Ghana didn't cause 30 years of neglect to our our water infrastructure, didn't cause the heavy winds and the dry, parched conditions, did not cause these fires to be basically like a blowtorch, 100-mile-an-hour winds with tinderbox dry conditions. And fire experts all across the nation and the world are saying there's no amount of fire trucks, there's no amount of firefighters that could have really stopped this particular emergency. So they're being dishonest, and it's just, to me, it's like a version of the recall election. You spent $100 million and you still lost, so now you're going to try to come in the back door or the side door to take down a very experienced and very level-headed and amazing leader who, is well qualified for that job. Well qualified, far more qualified than her opponent, who had never even held public office.
Yeah, and on that note, Elon Musk, right? He's the wealthiest person in the world. His net worth is a multitude of what we have for the LA city. He alone, with his own resources, could, if he wanted to, rebuild all the areas that were impacted. Khloe Kardashian, part of a billionaire family. And I think the irony of these folks coming for Mayor Karen Bass is that it's not, again, right, as you said, Mayor Bass is not responsible for the climate catastrophe. It's actually the wealthiest people in the country. They are the biggest contributors to the climate crisis. The biggest greenhouse emissions comes from the 10%. And, from the wealthiest corporations. And Tesla and other manufacturers like Tesla, even, as they're trying to, greenwash, right, with this electrical vehicle technologies, also contribute to the devastation to environments, like in Congo with the Congo, with the mining of minerals at the expense of, children and communities that are being disrupted in places in Africa. And so, if there's really anyone who should be catching the heat, not pun intended, is someone like Elon.
I mean, it's terrible to me. I mean, of course, she's the mayor. She's responsible for our city. I get that. But the fact that these people are trying to make it, being political opportunists and not using their billions to help others is insane to me. We know that Caruso, with his private firefighting team, drawing that water away from saving lives and saving homes, probably did impact the water pressure over there in Palisades. We know that, the owner of the LA Times has now said he regrets endorsing the mayor, but he's also a South African billionaire. What a coincidence.
Yeah.
What a freaking coincidence.
Indeed. And I want to shout out Senate Member Isaac Bryan, who as a legislator has been doing great work on climate justice, but also in the midst of this crisis as well. I don't really, I'm not as active on Twitter anymore. But I can't help.
I don't blame you because every day I go on there, it makes me feel terrible, and I'm thinking, man, why am I on here? I want to see what they're doing, but it's so depressing.
Yeah. So what I do see, thankfully, in my feed, besides all of the toxic chaos, is Brian, I think Senator Member Brian, putting out vital information and doing the work. And actually, he got a response from Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Who was, mentioning some misinformation, and Senator Member Brian pushed back with the facts. But it's really, it is.
Yeah, and then Brian got attacked by a bunch of KKK types on let's not leave that part out, on X, where they're starting the N-word die texts and such, which apparently Community Notes doesn't have a problem with. It's really not going to be to our benefit if people allow these conservative and inexperienced, unqualified white DEI men to take down or make ineffective our mayor, who has led at the state level, at the federal level, and is a community organizer.
And locally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And also, on the issue of, sorry, if I may just say real quick, and what you mentioned about the LA Times owner and Elon Musk, these are also people who are trying to expand the control of information. And I think that's why it's so important that we have platforms like KBLA 1580 that is independent, that speaks truth to power, coming from those who don't get the level of attention in LA Times or other media platforms like.
Well, I said we were going to talk about air quality, and I want to do so, but we only have 45 seconds before news, traffic, and sports. So we'll have to do it on the other side. I'm concerned because I see a lot of people in my community, especially some of our chronologically gifted folks, walking around with no masks. If there's ash in the air, there's ash on the cars, and then there's tiny things we can't see, little teensy-weensy particles of burnt up cars and refrigerators that you definitely don't want in your lungs. How do we measure that? How do we keep ourselves safe? Do masks really work? When does it end? So we'll look at that after news, traffic, and sports. And also, I want to say, bravo, Rams. There's a bright spot for my Angelinos. The Rams beat the Vikings 27-9. I know that's Ray's job, but hey, woohoo! KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Donald Trump's second inauguration will feature Carrie Underwood performing. Events include a president's reception, fireworks, a wreath-laying ceremony, a victory rally, tea at the White House, and a service at St. John's Church. Melania Trump believes people may understand her better now. Speaking with Fox News, she stressed being her own person and prioritizing motherhood. She plans to expand her Be Best campaign during Trump's second term. Former LSU football star Kyron Lacey, who is black, was charged with negligent homicide and posted bail in Louisiana. He's linked to a deadly crash in Thibodaux that killed a retired Marine. 2 days after the crash, Lacey declared for the NFL draft. And the Grammy Awards will proceed as planned on February 2nd, despite the Southern California wildfires. The show will raise funds for relief efforts and honor first responders. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Count on Lowe's to lend a hand to prepare, recover, and rebuild during the wildfires. Lowe's is part of your neighborhood and want to make sure you have the supplies you need when you need them. Visit Lowe's in store or online to get emergency supplies now and learn about relief efforts in your area.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi,
Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like your style, though?
KBLA Talk 1580 stands with you in tough times, connecting you with resources and what you need to know. Evacuation shelters are located in the Pasadena Civic Center, the Dream Center in LA, the Westwood Recreation Center, and many more. You can call 311 for details. If you're in Los Angeles County and in need of food, call Omni Ministries at 310-631-1557. Donations can be made to Zelle, Omni Ministries, Inc. at yahoo.com. Parking Lot I outside of Rose Bowl Stadium is a pop-up mutual aid hub where you can pick up everything from clothing to food to hygiene supplies for free. To volunteer or donate to help victims of the fire, contact the LA Emergency Network at enla.org. The Cochran Firm and Ivy McNeil, Wyatt Purcell and Diggs, Jasmine Canick, and others have launched a GoFundMe specifically targeting Altadena. Visit LA Fires. The impacted black community urgently needs help on GoFundMe, and donate to help black evacuees fighting for survival. Airbnb is offering free temporary housing to people displaced by the fires. Call 211 to sign up. The LA Chamber of Commerce is stepping up to help you sort out insurance claims and other paperwork. Reach them at 213-580-7500. South LA Cafe has free groceries, clothing, and water available at 1700 Browning Boulevard in LA. Track their giveaways or volunteer through their Instagram at South LA Cafe. U-Haul is donating short-term storage free of charge for 30 days to evacuees. Shelter for small or large animals can be accessed by calling 211. A Black-led coalition of community organizations is offering support and resources in the Altadena area at the Flint Ridge Center at 236 West Mountain Street in Pasadena. For comprehensive lists of resources for housing, food, shelter, and more, visit Mutual Aid LA Network on Instagram. Praying for LA and standing with you. KBLA Talk 1580.
Attention Los Angeles County renters and landlords. Starting January 1st, 2025, there are new rules limiting rent increases for rent-stabilized units in unincorporated LA County. Most rent-stabilized units will have rent increases capped at 2.565% from January through June 2025, with exceptions for qualified small property landlords and luxury units. To learn more about the new changes, visit rent.lacounty.gov. This message is brought to you by Los Angeles County Department of Consumer and Business Affairs.
The Ignited Light program invites one and all to the 8th annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service, January 18th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza. The spirit of Dr. King's legacy of service continues as local organizations come together. A drive-through food giveaway, free medical services, the Department of Children's Services offering employment opportunities. Foster and emancipated females aged 18 to 26 can take part in a very special She Ready luggage giveaway on Saturday, January 18th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza. More info, visit adayon.org. Again, adayon.org. Drivers, please enter from the Marlton Ave entrance.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay, talking with Bryant Odega. You know, yes, he was the youngest, one of the youngest ever black folks to run for city council. We know he's a teacher and an organizer and a teacher with the UTLA and many, many other things. But you're also an environmental activist, and you've spent a lot of time on things like air quality, water quality, and the like. So talk to me about this issue of air quality. I really feel like some of us are overlooking it. I have one friend who went outside. He has pre-existing conditions for just a few moments and was knocked out, like feeling terrible, sick for days.
Wow. Yeah, Dominic, I appreciate that. It is climate activism that got me into politics, and the type of grassroots politics that I engaged in inspired me to get involved with the labor movement and finally as a teacher. And as a public school teacher who lives in the Harbor area and works in a public school, I see all these issues confound. When you talk about air quality, Superintendent Carvalho for LAUSD sent out an email over the weekend about reopening schools, saying that air is improving and all this stuff, and that schools were being cleaned and prepared for reopening. But there was no data to back that up. The reality is, according to health officials, the quality of our air has worsened as a result of the wildfires. You talked about the particulates. There are particulates like lead and arsenic and asbestos that are in the air. That's hard for us to even see with our eyes, right? So we may see the ashes, but we're not seeing all of the other chemicals and toxic particulates are also in the air that may linger, according to health officials, for months. Even as the visible air improves. And as a climate organizer, and when I was running for city council, part of the challenge of trying to make climate justice as much of an issue as police and housing, which of course are also pressing issues as well, is that too often we don't see climate catastrophe as a pressing issue unless it is a wildfire or a heavy flood or some other major visible catastrophe. We are living in climate catastrophe every single day. And even before the wildfires, the air quality in LA hasn't been great either, right? The LA,
True. Yeah,
there was a
that's
report
good point.
On how the LA Port industrial complex are trying to change their air standards to make it less strict and not fully commit to the necessary change we need to make in order to improve our air quality. And those who are most impacted, yes, are, the Black and brown communities. Harbor area, we have Carson, we have Wilmington, we have all these places where we have the worst rates of asthma and cancer and other health issues in the state of California. And the reality, right, I think that we're also, experiencing now is that really the climate catastrophe doesn't spare any community action. The Palisades, right, burnt down, but the whole entire LA County is impacted. And so what, this calls for, in my opinion, is a revolution of, our politics, our principles. We have the resources. It's not just the city of LA alone. It's the school districts, the county, etc. We have the resources to do what is necessary to be more resilient to climate catastrophe. And just to go back to Carvalho, he sent out that email about all these different things, but there was no data. He lost data, right, making our students take all these tests, giving away millions of dollars to private corporations to test our students. But there's no data saying how many schools even have air filters, right? How many schools are actually retrofit? How many masks? We're talking about masks. Health officials say that loose fitted or fabric masks are not enough to protect us from the lead and asbestos or arsenic that's in the air. We need N95s. How many schools even have enough equipment? And we're talking about students, but there's also our teachers, the workers, the janitors, parents. And so, this is as much of an education justice issue as it is a climate justice issue. And I think instead of catering, right, to folks like, wealthy folks like Elon Musk or others, instead of giving subsidies to the fossil fuel industry, who have known for a long time the ramifications of, fossil fuel production, we need to be listening to community. Because at the end of the day, it is us, right, who are coming out, volunteering, fundraising, raising the issues, while billionaires tweet, people who are on the ground doing the work trying to save lives.
Yeah. So what is UTLA suggesting? I mean, just keeping kids home. I mean, what are teachers asking for at this point?
Right. So last week it took not only the teachers union but other unions to force, to have the superintendent close the schools, because I think if he had it his own way, we'll still be in the classroom even as the ashes, fall around us. And so I think that was a good move, because students, there are students and faculty who do have asthma and other issues. There are people who are impacted by the wildfires. I think it's a difficult situation. I think right now the focus is on supporting those who are impacted while figuring out ways we can give resources to our LAUSD family. But also part of, our platform in the past and present is about, making our schools more green, retrofitting our schools. We have the resources, but in the past, what we've seen is, Carvalho.
But I mean, what about right now, though? I mean, what about right now? Yeah, I understand we've got to make changes to our school. We're in the middle of a crisis. We saw the major learning loss during COVID and the trauma of the kids being isolated. For kids, this has got to feel really scary, because here we go again with another huge crisis. So what's UTLA actually asking? I mean, and how do we preserve that learning and that social, emotional safety net and still take care of the physical body?
Yeah, so, we're asking for making sure our schools are clean, right? So that's something that we need to do right now, because of how toxic the air is. We know that not enough schools don't have enough air filters. So getting those resources, those systems, HVAC systems, and also supporting, again, staff and directing resources to students and families that are impacted. And so, basically crisis response, right, while at the same time balancing, organizing for broader demands, because we got to do both.
Okay. Let's go to Trevor calling us from Culver City, Bryant. Good morning, Trevor.
Good morning, Trevor.
Good morning. God bless you. I
likewise.
If you'll give me a minute, I know you'll. I hope I'm not thrown into the. These are just talking points. The problem has not been
as long as you don't bring talking points. You won't be.
Well, these aren't talking points. So the problem hasn't been that we've had not enough progressive policies. The state of California and Los Angeles are run by progressives, and we've seen the failure as a result. This is not that the conservatives have been able to.
Give me an example what you're talking about. Give me an example. Be specific.
The fires, number one.
Okay, well, specifically, how have progressive policies created these fires or exacerbated them?
Okay, I'm glad you said exacerbated, because that's Mother Nature creative. Yes.
Okay, well, glad you acknowledged that. You're a step ahead of Elon.
Yeah. Well, I'm not Elon Musk. I wish I had his money, but
Same.
I'm not Elon Musk, and I don't follow him. Okay, the fire chief has put forth policies that, when you look at her priorities, that she pointed out, her 7 priorities, 2 of the top 3 were DEI, and it was ahead of putting technology and infrastructure together to fight fires. So that's
definitely a talking point, because hold on one second. I'm not cutting you off yet, but you got to let me talk on my show. DEI actually makes companies, if you look at the data, DEI having a more diverse workforce of qualified individuals, which is what DEI really is, actually makes companies perform better. So I don't think that's a fair point for. In fact, there's a clip, I don't know if you've seen it, Trevor, going around of me interviewing the DWP CEO, and they're lambasting her because she's talking about social justice, and social justice and competence are not mutually exclusive. In fact, it's just the opposite.
Okay, yes, actually, I have seen the clip. I didn't.
Let's let Bryant jump in for a second, and then you can continue your talking points. Go ahead, Bryant.
Thank you. Hey, Trevor. This is Bryant. And so, thank you for sharing your perspective. I will push back a little bit. I think unfortunately there has not been enough progressive policies. When you look at the LAUSD budget, the biggest item is actually police. We spend more on police than anything else. And when we're talking about climate disasters and resiliency, there's not really much the police can do, right? We can't expect, shooting the wildfires, right, won't address it. I think we need a lot more progressive politics in our governing so that we are addressing the crises at scale rather than adhering to, the status quo that has not been working. When we look at our school district, as a public school teacher, what frustrates me so much is as we're giving millions of dollars to private corporations to do AI chatbots and all these tests that our students are so tired of taking, we're not putting those resources, our public taxpayer dollars, into making our schools cleaner, making sure our schools have the air filters, making sure schools don't even before the wildfires, where there are schools that have lead pipes, that are contaminating the water. And so I think we need to do a lot more work on making sure our schools and communities at large are more resilient to climate catastrophe.
Okay, come on and land for us, Trevor. DEI is ruining everything. What's your other point? And by the way, before we get to that, Trevor, you have been impacted by the fires, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
I have
and I'm really sorry to hear that. I really am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We still don't know anything of where he's at. We presume he's dead. We presume that he burned alive in the fire.
Oh my goodness.
That is.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. I mean.
And you've searched the Red Cross database. You've gone to LAPD. You've gone to LAFD. Yeah. Oh wow. I'm so sorry. Wow. I'm really sorry about that.
And he was a person that retired in California from New York as a New York firefighter that was at 9/11.
I'm super sorry to hear that. It's just.
And I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're saying, being sorry, and I don't minimize your empathy in the situation, and I do appreciate it. It would be easy for you just to ignore that, but California, you have to admit, California has a supermajority of Democrats.
Yeah, we do.
LA County and Los Angeles is predominantly run by Democrats. So anybody that is conservative or center left, their voice is not heard.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. We have a South African billionaire that owns the paper of record, and the louder voices, the Rick Caruso's, the louder voices are the ones that have billions of dollars to amplify themselves.
Yes, but
we clearly have a huge conservative. We have a huge conservative streak in this state. I mean, it's a bipolar state. We've got a lot of progressives, and we've got Orange County and Fresno and Bakersfield. But anyway, go ahead.
So, do you not want George Soros's billions involved in trying to decide who the district attorney is, the previous district attorney? Are you upset
I wish he would have kicked in a few more billions, but a billion.
So okay
but no. Listen. I do believe in, campaign finance reform, but until we have it, don't bring a knife to a gunfight.
Well, then I hate to use that analogy. I don't like
Sorry.
that. Sorry.
Here's the difference. No. George Soros is not spreading and misinformation and Nazi propaganda like Elon Musk is. No, he's not.
Well, no. Let's stop the Nazi word, please.
It's not. No, this isn't. You need to go check on Elon Musk's post. He is posting.
Dominique.
Listen to me. He is posting posts about black people's brain size and saying that we are an inferior race. That is directly Nazi propaganda. I'm not being hyperbolic, and you don't follow him, so you don't know what you're talking about in this particular case. Go ahead and land for me. Let's move on.
Okay, actually, I do see his tweets, but if you want to go down that road, if we keep going into these different roads, okay, What about the Palestinians and the gentleman that shot and killed the CEO of United Healthcare, and liberals coming out and saying there need to be more people shot and killed? We need to stop that kind of language.
Okay, Trevor. Yeah,
Okay,
I agree with you. We shouldn't be saying people should be shot and killed, and we also shouldn't be ethnically cleansing entire nations, and we shouldn't be killing people through lack of health care. We need health care for all. Right. Then people wouldn't be saying that ridiculous stuff. I agree with you, Trevor. You don't get to kill people. You don't get to walk up and kill people. You don't get to summarily execute people. You don't get to be the judge, the jury, and the executioner. We're in agreement on that. And I appreciate your bringing up the point. However, we have to understand why people are reacting that way. Why are they reacting that way? It doesn't mean it's okay to go shoot the guy, but it does mean that something is direly wrong in this country with our healthcare system. We're going to continue this conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
I don't even know where to start with health insurance. Do I just, call a hospital and ask them?
Look up Covered California. That's their whole deal, making it easier to get and pay for health insurance.
Okay, but can I afford it?
Yes. They work with a bunch of health insurance companies. I pay something like $10 a month, and it's actually really good coverage.
Wait, what? How did I not know this?
You just needed to know who to ask.
If you've got questions, Covered California can help every step of the way. Enroll by January 31st. Covered California. This way to health insurance.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We gon' be alright.
KBLA Talk 1580 is amplifying Black voices and spotlighting our untold stories. I'm Dominique DiPrima. Join me Thursday from 6 to 9 a.m. as we broadcast live from Perry's Joint on Lincoln Avenue in Altadena, covering the individuals and families impacted by the Altadena Eaton fire. Hear from community leaders and those who have suffered losses that must not be forgotten. Together, we can help them rebuild and recover. Together, we are LA Strong, LA United, with your friends at KBLA Talk 1580.
Time is up. The IRS is in full collection mode for 2024, issuing liens, levies, and garnishments to anyone who has a past tax debt or unfiled tax returns. Don't wait till it's too late. Your paycheck and bank accounts are at risk of being seized. Call now and stop the collection process today. If you're living check to check, no matter how much you're making, you still may qualify for the Fresh Start programs offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. It's just a 5-minute call to get your options, and it's free. If you owe back taxes, have years of unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or finally just want to sleep better, business or personal, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief while there's still time. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and tough. This veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. The call is free. Call their hotline number now, 800-652-1714. That's 800-652-1714. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-652-1714 or go to republictaxrelief.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going
going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacin-capted Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back indeed, Bryant Odega. You get to experience one of our regular conservative callers, and I'm clearing the space for you to respond if there's anything you didn't get to.
Yeah, I'll just say that, I think the dialogue is important because, a lot of people, have opinions. But I think, we do need to push back against the scarcity politics that is both fueling our policy, but also the way people are thinking about this issue. It is not DEI, right, that is the cause of crises. And in fact, it is those very people, right? Not the very people, but, in fact, having a diversity of leadership is part of the solution of dealing with crises. Karen Bass didn't get to where she was due to, easy connection, right? She is, I believe, the first Black woman mayor of Los Angeles.
First woman mayor, period.
Right. And she's not the only woman or Black woman to have existed in LA. And so, she's had to navigate a variety of levels of systems of oppression to get to where she is today. And she was using that experience to serve, the community. And so what I'll say is, in addition to that, or separately, is, I'm also proud of the leadership of our own union, of UTLA, where we have President Cecily Mara Cruz, the first Afro-Latina president of the second largest teachers union in the country. I believe this is her last term as well. And so what I've been moved by her leadership and the broader union is that we've been able to respond to crisis during the pandemic, and even now, as teachers, right, first priority is our students, being able to be there for our students, for their families as well, while at the same time advocating for change, because our students deserve, and so too do their parents.
Yeah. Well, Bryant, we got time flies when you're talking smack. We got a minute before news, traffic, and sports. So what do you want to leave us with this morning?
Yeah. So, speaking on, community, I think of folks who are interested in supporting teachers who are impacted, they can go to bit.ly/UTLA Fire Relief. And for other ways to plug in, I think mutualaidla.org is a good site too. Figure out where you can.
Say the UTLA one again.
Yeah, so it's bit.ly/capital UTLA and then lowercase fire relief.
Okay. Well, thanks for always doing great work and always staying active. We appreciate you, Bryant, and I wish that we had more Bryant Odegas in the world.
Well, thank you, Dominique and KBLA 1580, for all that you do, raising the issues that need to be raised and speaking truth to power consistently.
We got news, traffic, and sports, and then it is a perfect time to call me if you have something to say. Talking Point Tuesday on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Donald Trump's second inauguration will feature Carrie Underwood performing. Events include a president's reception, fireworks, a wreath-laying ceremony, a victory rally, tea at the White House, and a service at St. John's Church. Melania Trump believes people may understand her better now. Speaking with Fox News, she stressed being her own person and prioritizing motherhood. She plans to expand her Be Best campaign during Trump's second term. Former LSU football star Kyron Lacey, who is black, was charged with negligent homicide and posted bail in Louisiana. He's linked to a deadly crash in Thibodaux that killed a retired Marine. 2 days after the crash, Lacey declared for the NFL draft. And the Grammy Awards will proceed as planned on February 2nd despite the Southern California wildfires. The show will raise funds for relief efforts and honor first responders. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Count on Lowe's to lend a hand to prepare, recover, and rebuild during the wildfires. Lowe's is part of your neighborhood and want to make sure you have the supplies you need when you need them. Visit Lowe's in store or online to get emergency supplies now and learn about relief efforts in your area.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers and Clippers have home games tonight after a pause in their schedule because of the wildfires in LA County. The Lakers had 2 games postponed. The Clippers had 1. The Lakers are at home against San Antonio at Crypto.com. The Clippers